Long before the Jedi, Sith, or the Republic, and all the conflicts we know and love, there was an entirely different galaxy, full of mysticism and wonder. And as always, in the middle, one thing binding it all together: the Force. A mystical energy that penetrates and surrounds all the living creatures in the galaxy. And one day, it called out to those that could feel its influence. Greetings, Star Wars fans. My name is Chris, and you're watching Star Wars World. Let's begin. 36,453 years before Battle of Yavin, through the mysterious pyramid-shaped starships called Thoyor, the Force resonated on several planets, such as Kashyyyk, Dathomir, Ryloth, Manaan, and Endo Prime. There were 8 Thoyor in total, and they invited the Force users to get on board. They departed their original worlds soon after to travel to the deep core. Along the way, they gathered other sensitive beings to its final destination, Tython. Already waiting for them was ninth, much larger Thoyor, and the other 8 joined it above the surface. The great force storm enveloped the entire planet on their arrival. After that, they would scatter across the world and deliver the pilgrims to where they would later stay. The Force Sensitives, or Tythons, as they would later be known as, found out the purpose of their pilgrimage rather quickly. They were brought here to Typhon to study this newly discovered power, to learn how to harness it, control, and discover its secrets. The world they arrived to was absolutely stunning, with its green forests, steep mountains, vast deserts, and deep oceans. However beautiful, it was also very dangerous. Not only it was a home to many vicious predators, but the world reacted to the imbalance of the Force itself, creating devastating force storms on its surface. The imbalance came from the Titans, as they were struggling to find equilibrium in the Force. Some were more attuned to the light side, and some to the dark. But eventually they found a solution. There were 2 moons orbiting the planet, Ashla and Bogan. They represented the light side and dark side of the Force respectively. Later, those that would stray too much to the light or dark would be sent to the opposite alignment moon to restore balance. With such a fix, the problem was solved. For a time. The Thyssons in the following years created the Jedi Order. A name came of 2 words from the language of Dai Bendu monks, Je meaning mystic and Dai meaning center. The first Jedi code developed by the pilgrims read as follows: There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no fear, there is power. I am the heart of the Force. I am the revealing fire of light. I am the mystery of darkness. In balance with chaos and harmony, immortal in the Force. As you can see, it was vastly different to what we know from the Jedi of the Republic era. They were mostly focused on balance and were not afraid to delve into the dark side. This obviously came at a cost, but I will discuss it a little bit later in this video. Some 1,000 years have passed since the arrival on Tython, and the Thoyor continued to be the vital part for the Order. The very first cities and temples were built around them, one of which was Padawan Kesh, an academy in which Jedi would start their training to learn the ways of the Force. Its very first master became Nordia Graal, who helped introduce and develop the tradition of pilgrimage. When a Padawan finished his training and became journeyer, he would set out on a quest to travel through all the temples across Typhon. For 2 years, they would stop at each to absorb its teachings and learn the basic skills such as diplomacy, alchemy, healing, combat, or force study. Upon completion of this endeavor, the journeyer was granted the rank of Jedi Ranger. Rangers would choose a temple to further their studies and hone their skills, while at the same time were tasked with completing missions assigned to them by the Council. both on and off-world. They would also be granted their own personal starship, being either Hunter-class starfighter or a Peacemaker-class cruiser. The whole structure of the Order was not that entirely different from the Jedi we know from the prequels. At the bottom were younglings and Padawans. In their teens, Padawans would set out to the Great Journey and upon completion achieve the rank of the Ranger. Then Rangers, after years of service and study, could ascend to the rank of Master, the highest possible honor for the Jedi. Higher only was the Temple Master, but this rank was reserved for the most wisest and experienced of the Order. They would be the guardians of knowledge and rulers of all Jedi. There were a minimum of 9 Temple Masters as the number of Toyor, leading them in the council. The first thousands of years were rather peaceful, but not without tribulations, because as it turned out, not all of the Titan's descendants possessed the ability to wield the Force. Those without such gifts created imbalance to which the planet reacted violently with vicious beast attacks and devastating force storms. One such incident led to the complete destruction of the city of Arum. Shortly thereafter, all non-Force sensitives were exiled from the planet, splitting families and friends alike. First, they populated the moons of Ashla and Bogan, before spreading even further to the planets in the entire system, creating communities of non-Force users. Jedi took it upon themselves to police the entire systems, keep everybody safe, and solving all conflicts. However, not everybody was happy about such state of affairs. The ever-growing precipice between Force and non-Force sensitives finally erupted into a conflict known later as the Despot War. The war was started by Queen Hadia, a female Twi'lek who ruled the planet of Shikakwa in the Titan system. In the year 25,805, she united the crime families and conquered all the surrounding planets, all of whom were protected by the Jedi. When they found out and challenged the Despot Queen, she took her armies to Tython to start an all-out war. Opposite to the common belief, Force users were slain by hundreds, many falling to the Queen herself. During the turmoil, she was approached by one of the Jedi Rangers named Dagan Locke. He claimed to have defected the Order to join her side. Convinced by his callous approach and commitment to her cause, she quickly granted him the rank of a general. The two fought the Jedi side by side during the day, and at night they cultivated their fast-growing affection for each other. By the time they reached the Jedi Temple Caliph, Hadia has taken Locke as her lover and allowed him to sleep with her inside her tent. One night, Dagan woke up to the sleeping queen and decided to end the war once and for all. However, his love for her made him hesitate for a second, and Hadia woke up, slashing at him in her defense. She managed to hurt his face, but he grabbed her by the Force and killed her, ending her reign. Without a strong leader, the Despot army was in shambles and quickly dissolved. Dagan Locke was heralded a hero of the war for his actions, and the whole conflict came to an end. The balance was restored for a time, but Tython was far from being peaceful. During this period, a mysterious individual has crash-landed onto the planet's surface. His name was Zesh. Upon discovery, he was found using a strange blade, a Force saber, which would later become a signature weapon for the Jedi. Zesh's story is very interesting, but also quite long, so I would reserve that for another video. Not long after the Despot War, Tython was invaded again, this time by a foe much more powerful, the Rakatan Infinite Empire. They were the ancient race of humanoid-like beings who seek to enslave every planet in the galaxy. Also called Builders, their technology was way more advanced to that of the other species. They also invented first primitive form of light-speed travel. The Rakatan launched an offensive using their fierce soldiers known as Flesh Raiders. Although the Jedi repelled their first advance, the war was far from over. The builders retreated to the world of Skagora, where they set up their base of operations. The Jedi knew they will not be able to win without the support, so they allied themselves with the non-Force users that they were fighting not so long ago. Led by the Jedi Master Rajivari, the Jedi started counter-offensive and progressively pushed the enemy back. During the war, they discovered a secret to creating the weapons of the Rakata, the Force Sabers. These swords imbued with the Force were to prove crucial to their victory. Using their newly crafted weapons, they defeated their foes, pushing the already decaying Rakatan Empire close to extinction. In the following years, the Jedi would face the biggest challenge of their order, as there was a great schism between them. The followers of the light side, as well as the dark side supporters, were at each other's throats for the next decade, fighting for dominance and best direction for their order. The conflict was long and tedious, resulting in many casualties. This war would also mark the end for the Jedi. Lightsiders would eventually create the Jedi Order, with a spelling known from the original saga. After the betrayal of Master Rajivari during the war and his later death in the Temple of Caliph, a large group of Jedi left Tython to the mystical planet of Ossus, where Jedi would settle for the next generations. This era is fascinating when it comes to the lore of Star Wars. There are so many interesting characters on both sides, heroes and villains alike. If you want to know more about the Jedi and their history, I invite you to read the comics surrounding this era. You can also ask me anything in the comment sections and my Discord, as I would love to discuss it further with you. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, as there's always place for you in the Star Wars world. May the Force be with you.